Welcome to My Forever Home, the podcast. I'm Frances Cosway and I've helped hundreds of people create forever homes. I can't wait to share the journey with you. So let's start. Welcome to the Kitchen Design Essential Podcast season. I'm doing this a little bit differently, and I know I spoke about this last week on the last episode. But because of all the questions that I get asked, and there's so much focus about getting kitchen design right, and there are so many questions that get posed to me, and I thought I really want to focus an entire season of podcast material just on kitchen design. And so today, I'm super excited to launch with you the Kitchen Design Essential Podcast season. Now, that is a bit of a mouthful. However, we can just call it Kitchen Design Essentials, and that is exactly what it's going to be about. So welcome along, and I certainly hope that you'll be here for the journey. We are going to be together for at least the next couple of months. And I think as we evolve, I've already got 20 episodes planned, but I think as this evolves, there's going to be more things that people start asking and more episodes that I can add. So if you would like something specifically covered, let me know and I can make sure that we include it. But I would say I have a very good feeling that we've pretty much got most of the things covered. I wanted to make sure that we were going to bring you all the nitty-gritty about kitchen design. There's so many things to think about, and there are so many questions that people ask, and I thought, how about I break this down, and episode by episode we can just go through each thing that needs to be covered off in your kitchen design. Kitchens need to work so hard for us. They are our entertaining space, they are a family congregation space, they are normally the hub of the home, they're centrally located in the home in a lot of instances, and so I feel that we need to get it right. And I see so many mistakes happen when people almost fit a square peg into a round hole rather than really thinking about how they're going to live. So I want to be able to bring you all the things you need to think about, things that you may not have even considered. One of the most common things I hear on a daily basis is, I don't know what I don't know. And so I want you to understand what you don't know so that you can delve a little bit more into it, but also that I can bring you things that you may not have even considered. That's my goal. So welcome to the season. Tell your friends and anyone that you know that is going to be embarking on a kitchen renovation or perhaps building a brand new kitchen, so that they can also enjoy and understand and get a lot more knowledge about what they need to do with their kitchen design. It's not just about going to a kitchen design firm. They can certainly add a lot of value, but there's a lot of things that you should think about up front anyway. So what's in store? Today I wanted to go through what you can expect from this season, and then you can set it on your favorites and make sure you don't miss an episode. Every Wednesday a new episode is going to be released for you as part of this season. So it's going to be exciting. I know I'm really excited. There is so much good value in here, and I can't wait to bring it to you. So who is this Kitchen Design Essential podcast for? Essentially, it's for anyone doing something to do with their kitchen. So that could be a kitchen renovation. It could be creating a kitchen from scratch for a new home. It could be that you're thinking about doing a kitchen makeover instead of a full renovation. That's also a consideration. It could be someone that's interested in kitchen design and just wanting to understand a little bit more about it. Or it could be someone that's getting lots of knowledge because they know down the track, it might not be right now, but they know down the track that they're going to be planning for a kitchen. And so information is obviously the best way to get started. So it really is catering for anyone that is thinking about doing their kitchen. And it could be super budget or it could be super high end. The design foundations will be the same. Some of the other considerations may be different, and I'll talk about those throughout the series. So what's going to be on the show? What's going to be in this season? Well, I am going to be sharing lots and lots of information in sessions that I'll be running on my own, like I have been over the last couple of months in the podcast. But I've also spoken to other specialists and experts in their fields and have invited them on the show. And fabulously, they've all said yes. So we're going to have specialists from material manufacturers. So I've got a great lady coming on from Cosentino who's going to be talking about different bench tops, which is going to be fabulous. I'm not going to reveal too much because that's going to be really, really good information on not only reconstituted stone, but some of the other materials that are out there as well. I've got builders coming on to talk about what some of the key mistakes that people make and they don't consider when they're actually planning their kitchen and how they can actually save some money. A lighting designer, some appliance representatives, and so many more. So there's going to be awesome guests that are going to join me as we have, a really casual conversation, but still going to be with max value included as part of the show. What are we going to cover? Well, there are so many topics, but here is just a bit of an insight into what you can expect over the coming weeks and coming episodes. We're going to talk about when it's best to do a makeover versus a renovation. Sometimes, from a budget perspective, people feel that the makeover is going to be the most cost effective. And when we start pulling back the layers of what needs to be done, it may be that a renovation is not going to really cost that much more. And so we're going to talk about the differences, and we're also going to talk about what are some of the, sometimes I say the term quick and dirty. What's something that we can cosmetically overhaul, particularly when the floor plan and the layout of that kitchen is really good. We don't necessarily need to rip the whole thing out and start again. So that's something that we'll be looking at. And also tricks that I use that make it look like an absolute brand new kitchen where we actually haven't even touched the carcasses. We're going to talk about the best location for your kitchen. So whereabouts should it be in the home, but also the orientation of that kitchen and what are some of the things that we need to think about when we're talking about where that kitchen should be. And as I always say in everything we always do and that I always talk to my clients about is that floor plan is king. So making sure that that kitchen is in the right location within the home is critical. So we're going to cover that. Design layouts, and for those of you that have been at my kitchen masterclasses in person, you'll know that I talk about the advantages and disadvantages of certain layouts, and we're going to be discussing those in detail so that you can understand what the different layouts are and what some of the key considerations are that you need to think about when you're choosing your layout. How to assess your design. How do you know that the joinery, the design that's been presented to you is actually going to work for you? We're going to talk about custom designed kitchens and flat packs and where do we save money and where do we perhaps not think we're going to be able to save as much money as we think we may, and also the advantages and disadvantages of each of those considerations. I'm going to talk about all the different cabinetry materials. So vinyl wrap, also known as thermal, laminates, we've got timber laminates, we've got veneer, solid timber, 2-pack. There's even products like Decton that can actually go on our doors and our cabinetry fronts as well. So we're going to be talking about all the different cabinetry material considerations and then running through the advantages and disadvantages. Clearly, I also want to talk to you about benchtop materials. Again, there are so many new products that are coming out on the market all the time. And as an interior designer, it is my job to make sure that I'm aware and abreast of all the new products that are coming out on the market so that I can make sure that my clients are getting a full spectra of what's available rather than just going down the route that they know. That is one of the key advantages of the interior design space or working with an interior designer is that I am able to show you things that you may not even be aware of that are in the market, and I feel that that's my job. So you're getting full disclosure of what's available. And so benchtop materials, again, there are so many new products coming out, and so I want to run through those with you. Obviously, the obvious ones are reconstituted stone, natural stone. There's porcelain bench tops. There's timber bench tops. There's been a new surgence in recycled timbers and recycled materials. And so I want to talk to you about some of those. We're using recycled glass. There's some amazing new products coming out. So benchtop materials is definitely going to be covered off. Then the details, the things that can really bring your kitchen design and the aesthetic into a whole new spectra and whole new look and feel by just looking at the details. So it may be shadow lines, it's your handles, your hardware. So I really want to talk about, when do we use handles, when may we not, what are the advantages of finger pulls, some of the other mechanisms that people use, and what's good and maybe what's something that you need to consider that may not work for you. We're also going to be running through taps and the different types of sinks. How do you know whether what you're buying is a good quality sink or whether it's something that is not going to be as durable, and where is it best to put your money? We'll also talk about the highly controversial, or controversial or not, but about black tapware. Does your tap have to match your kitchen as what it does with the other tapware in your home? So we'll cover those things off. We'll talk about the different types of sinks, undermount, flush mount, inset sinks, so that you get an understanding of what that is as well. Lots and lots of questions on that from people too. And splashbacks. For those of you that have followed me for quite some time, you'll know that I am a splashback fanatic, and I think it's the best way to incorporate your own personality and to really create a bespoke kitchen for yourself. So we're going to talk about the different types of splashbacks, the regulations with regards to splashbacks, and the different materials in terms of their advantages and disadvantages. I know so many people get put off by tiles because they're so worried about the grout. In that episode, I'm definitely going to be revealing to you why you do not need to worry and stress about grout. It is probably the least thing that I would be worrying about in terms of a material choice. There are lots of other things that would be more of an issue than using grout, and I will tell you why in the splashback edition. Then we're going to talk about butlers' pantries, walk-in pantries, and appliance cupboards. What's the difference between a butler's pantry and a walk-in pantry? What are some of the key things that you need to have in those spaces to make them really work for you? We'll talk about the discussion around, do we have cabinetry fronts in pantries? Do we not? Do we have it as open shelving? What appliances do we need in there? Do we need a sink in there? All sorts of things around pantries and walk-in pantries. And also, if you don't have a space, or if you really don't feel that you need such a large working area, we'll also cover off appliance cupboards, which can work really, really hard for people, and is certainly not a back step. We don't necessarily need to have a pantry in our house that's as big as a bathroom when that space could be used for other things. I'll also be talking about, this is something that comes up a lot, and that are the key measurements and that kitchen triangle / work area. The kitchen triangle is not as, it's not such a focal point anymore. We certainly need to have our kitchens working, and the key areas need to be close to each other. But that triangle, because our kitchens, depending on the design of them, it's more around where our key areas are, and the triangle doesn't need to be as strict as what it used to be. But key measurements are critical, and we need to make sure that we do have those key measurements correct. And, where we can, make some areas bigger than to make them a little bit more workable, depending on how many people are going to be working in the kitchen. So I'll definitely be talking about all of those things. Appliances. Now, that's definitely one where people get a bit confused and ask lots of questions around, do they have a 900 oven, a wall oven versus a freestanding oven? Do I need a steam oven? Where does the microwave go? Range hoods, the different types of range hoods, stove tops, dishwashers, whether they're integrated, semi-integrated. Do we use colour? If anyone's seen the latest Dolce & Gabbana Smeg release, if you really love all those bright colours, different sizes, our fridges, what do we need to allow for? And also the different types of, range hoods, particularly if we're using a heat recovery ventilator in our home. We need to make sure that something doesn't duct out. So there are lots of things to consider when we're talking about appliances, and I'm going to bring on an expert that can really go through lots of different things that we need to think about. Lighting, and again, for those who follow me, have followed me for quite some time, know that lighting is such a key thing for me. And so I really want to talk about how you get really good task lighting into your kitchen, how to avoid downlights and make sure that you're not going to create shadows and glare in your kitchen, and that your kitchen area is going to have really good lighting for you to be able to work on the different areas, and how you can also add decorative lighting in that space as well, that sort of performs as a decorative light and also provides really good task lighting. Ventilation is another big one, and it's probably an area that is forgotten about, how you're going to get natural and artificial ventilation into your space, particularly when you're doing a lot of cooking that can be quite aromatic, or some people might describe it as quite smelly, but you want to make sure that you've got really good ventilation, and I'll be going through some of the options for you in that episode. Other little bits and pieces like bins, and where's the best space for our bins? What about if you're really short on space in your kitchen and you really don't want to use an entire bin drawer when you want to really use that for something else. So I'll talk about what some of the solutions are for bins, and how we can deal with those. And also storage areas. So it's not just about bins, but where do you store things like all your oils and your spices and your baking trays and your chopping boards and all those sorts of things? What's the best way to store those little finicky items? I also am going to talk about decorating and colours. So how do you create decorative elements within your kitchen? What are some of the things that you can do, and how do you choose your colours? And how does the impact of some of the other things that you've chosen for your home, such as your floors and other elements, other hard surface materials in your home, set the scene for the colour palette of your kitchen? Also going to talk about outdoor kitchens. These are becoming more and more common, and they're not just a barbecue outside anymore. We really need to consider what materials we're using, because what we're using inside cannot necessarily be used outside. So that's definitely going to be an episode that we cover as well. So there are lots and lots of things that we are going to cover in the Kitchen Design Essential podcast. I can't wait to have you listening in each week. Every new episode will come out on a Wednesday. I can't wait for you to meet the fabulous guests that I've got lined up for you. And really, I just can't wait for you to just gain lots and lots of knowledge and attack your kitchen design with knowledge, with the ability to question from your specialists, what's going on, and, have they, that you're able to ask the questions that really need to be asked to make sure that your kitchen is going to work how you need it to and suit your lifestyle. Not every kitchen design is going to suit everyone, but of course the focus for me, as always, is on forever homes. But this podcast series will also talk about how you can do makeovers and really tackle that kitchen design in other ways as well. It's not necessarily, pulling it all out and replacing it with your new. I really do want to talk about makeovers too. So I'm really excited. I hope you're excited. Can't wait to have you on board. Don't forget to stick it in your favourites. Tell everyone else. And I look forward to having you here every Wednesday. Don't forget, every Friday there's also the Facebook Live that I run, and that sort of covers lots of little things that come up during the week that people may have asked me, or that I'm seeing on forums, or that have just come up as part of our normal design process that I think I want to cover off. So that's also a way that you can engage with me on a regular basis. So we've got Wednesday, the podcast, Friday, Facebook Live at 10 o'clock on White Pebble Interiors podcast, and then also the Your Forever Home Facebook page. I look forward to sharing everything with you, and I look forward to having you engaged every week on Wednesday. Bye for now, until next week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of My Forever Home. If you're ready to renovate or build a new home and you need help to create a beautiful and functional forever home, you can book a chat with me directly at whitepebbleinteriors.com.au/chat. Have a great day.